Salut tout le monde, bienvenue à une nouvelle édition du Monticule. Aujourd'hui, on fait une petite sortie assez intéressante du domaine du baseball, alors qu'on accueille, gracieuseté de la radio Boréal FM et du Portage College de Lac La Biche en Alberta, le coach en chef du programme des voyageurs de Portage College soccer futsal, Macky Singh, qui est avec nous pour nous partager sa carrière assez impressionnante, partant de la Malaisie jusqu'en Nouvelle-Zélande, qui l'a amené jusqu'au Canada maintenant depuis quelques années et tout récemment, depuis janvier 2024, à la tête du programme futsal soccer du Portage College. Il est avec nous pour nous partager sa carrière, mais surtout pour vous présenter le programme de soccer futsal du Portage College, parce que des fois, on a des gens qui écoutent présentement et qui sont intéressés de jouer au soccer au niveau collégial, au niveau universitaire, d'avancer dans leur évolution au soccer. Eh bien, on l'accueille pour nous donner un petit aperçu. Donc, une belle discussion qu'on a avec le coach Macky Singh. To start, pretty easy. As I said before, we've spoke many times about your soccer and futsal team on Portage College, as you do work for the Portage College in Lac La Biche. And as we spoke sometimes, you told me that you had a career that went pretty much everywhere. But I'm curious to know, where does everything start? Where do you got a soccer ball on your feet and just started to play? Oh, so sorry for that. And started to play and learn the game and at some point even get curiosity of being a coach, because it's not everyone who can be a great coach. Some people got the talent but doesn't have actually the ways of learning and teaching people how to play perfectly their sports.
Okay, so I started. I grew up in Malaysia when I was young. I was born in Malaysia and I grew up in Malaysia in my early years. And I started playing, football, soccer football, I call it, kind of thing, in the backyard with, in the community with, it wasn't structured or anything like that. I just played with kids, or my friends basically. Uh, and there was no structure, no clubs, nothing kind of thing. Just played every day. Love the game, love the sport, love watching it. And then later on in my older teens, around the 50, when I was 15, my parents migrated to New Zealand. And so I moved to New Zealand and continued my football there, but in a more structured way, where I joined a club, played for a club, played for my school as well. And then from there, I played, moved on and played for a couple more clubs. Ended up staying with one club. Played at a decent level in New Zealand. But I started coaching at my high school as well, back in New Zealand, Wellington, for Wellington High School. And I was playing for Miramar Rangers. And so while I was playing and then when I finished high school, I went to university at Victoria University, but I was doing it sort of part-time so I could play and coach. I started coaching at 19. My first coaching experience or coaching team was coaching my high school girls 11, which is the top girls high school team. It was the first time we actually had a girls high school team. And so that was my first taste of coaching and coaching females. It's where all my coaching experience in terms of coaching females started as well. And then over the years, I coached the high school teams, the boys teams, boys first 11 teams as well, which is the top team of the high school, and continued playing for the club. And then at about 26 years old, I kind of decided, football is not going to take me anywhere as an athlete kind of thing, got to be realistic kind of thing. And I was still at university. And so I decided to call it a day on the playing side of it and take coaching more seriously as a profession. And and then I was appointed the head coach for the New Zealand University women's national team. It was my first foray into the national team environment where I got to coach, athletes that were at University of New Zealand, all the University of New Zealand, and coach them in various tournaments and all that stuff. And then, I continued doing that for a while, coaching the clubs, coaching the high school, coaching the university national team. I coached men's team as well. I was coaching a club team, started coaching club teams as well. And then I kind of took a bit of a break, went to the US for about 6 months just to gain more experience kind of thing. And then I came back in 20, was it 2001, at the end of 2001. I came back at the end of 99. And then in 2001, 2002, I moved to another city in New Zealand, to Christchurch, and started my other coaching. I started another degree. I did a coaching degree. It was the first ever coaching certification that was offered in New Zealand in terms of a degree kind of thing. So, I got my degree there. And while I was doing that, I also continued coaching the university national team and coached a lot of youth teams and men's and women's club teams as well in the top leagues in Christchurch. And then from there, being part of the New Zealand University women's national team set up in 2003, we went to South Korea, to compete at the World University Games, which was a very huge event, very similar to Olympics, just slightly smaller than Olympics back then. And there was, I think, 12 teams competing, and we represented Oceania kind of thing. So that was a great experience playing against other national teams. A lot of the players had an opportunity to represent New Zealand and play against other universities, other national university teams that had players that were playing, at the top level in their countries. We played teams like Germany and Mexico, and I can't even remember all the teams that we played against. And then in 2005, we went to Turkey for the World University Games, and then in 2007 we went to Thailand for the World University Games. So I did three campaigns. I was the only ever head coach for the New Zealand University Women's Program. And while I was coaching the national team, I was also coaching club, coaching youth programs, youth teams as well. And while I was doing that, I was also getting my coaching certification as well. And also ended up getting my degree as well. And then in 2007, I moved to Canada and started coaching in Canada.
And just before we get in Canada, because
Yeah,
you told us like a lot of things, I
yeah,
do need to know first thing as an athlete, when
yeah,
you were playing in the backyard with friends,
yeah,
um, is football or soccer, depending on how
yeah.
we call
Where
it.
were you? Yeah,
Were you playing any other sports? Did you try any other like areas? Is it something that was happening in your family? Did you have any also brother or sister competition with them while you were playing soccer or any other sports?
I played badminton. Growing up in Malaysia, badminton is, number one sport in Malaysia kind of thing. The country is really fanatic with football and badminton. So, growing up with that, I played badminton. I have a brother, younger brother. He wasn't as sporting as I was, but he was, he enjoyed the sport and enjoyed playing. So he played a bit of badminton, played a bit of soccer, but it wasn't, something that was taking any serious about it. And then, so yeah, we played badminton. And then when we moved to New Zealand, I continued playing badminton. My brother played at high school. He played hockey and field hockey, that is. And then I went to squash, and I started playing a bit of squash as well. And my brother joined in and played squash as well. So, you know, played a bit of a racket sport, squash and badminton, and I've coached badminton as well, at the competitive level as well here in Canada. So, those were the two sports that I really enjoyed and really enjoyed playing kind of thing. And I still today go out and at the college every Tuesdays they have a lunchtime badminton, so I'll go out and play with some of the other faculty members and staff and students and all that stuff. So I enjoy that. But I also coached squash as well back for a while back in New Zealand. So the two other sports I enjoy. And I started playing golf in later years in my life in New Zealand. My house was my parents' house is about 10 minutes away from the closest golf course. So, played pretty much 3, 4 times a week in the evenings when nobody is. So I love golf. I haven't had a chance to play here yet, but looking forward to playing golf as well. So yeah, no, definitely played other sport as well.
Hopefully, in the summertime, you'll have the chance to go at the Lac La Biche Golf Club to have a shot at it and see if it's still as nice and good and you played still as nice as you did do before. I do be curious of one thing, something that don't people don't know that much or maybe don't realize that much. Being a full-time coach isn't something that many people um, says or know pretty young. You did started coaching as at a quite young age. How did your family felt about the fact that you were starting to coach even more? You went to get certificate in coaching. Were they all supportive? Were they not sure of what was that? How your family received the news?
My parents were great. My parents supported what my brother and I wanted to do. Their biggest thing is as long as we get an education and get a university degree, they don't really care what career path we went into. So, they were very supportive in terms of the direction I took into going into sports coaching and going into football coaching. Whereas my brother, he went into more entrepreneurial business kind of fields. He works in the car industry right now, kind of thing. So he's been doing that for almost 20 years or so. So I've been coaching for almost 30 years now, kind of thing. So no, they've been fantastic. They've been really supportive in terms of our career kind of thing. And I think without their support, I don't think my brother and I would have been able to do what we're doing right now to go where what we're doing. Like my brother lives in Australia, my mom lives in New Zealand, I live here. But without their support, without the support of my dad and mom, my brother and I probably wouldn't have been able to achieve what we have achieved so far till today.
And I do am curious to know a little bit more about that degree that you took. What was it for? Is it sports or was it out of the subject of sports and psychology sports or what was the degree for?
So I did a sports coaching degree. So it's an actual degree in sport coaching. So it's the only sports coaching degree in New Zealand that's offered. So when I did it, it was the first year they actually offered it. Now it's been there. So since 2002 was the first year they offered the degree kind of thing. So I was lucky to be able to be accepted into that degree. So it covers everything from coaching management, sports science, psychology, everything, media, all that stuff. So, it's a in New Zealand, you do 3 years degree kind of thing. So it was a 3-year degree, which included a thesis writing, coaching practicum and all that stuff as well. So it was quite in depth and it prepared me well, apart from my coaching certification with New Zealand football. It's really gave me the other side of understanding about coaching as well, kind of more in depth in terms of uh, player relationship, sports science, sports psych, and all that comes about kind of thing. So yeah, no, I was lucky to be the first intake of that degree.
And on the psychology chick part of it, so I think it's something that as much as the years have passed, it's something that we, I think, speak a little bit more out loud. Maybe it
Yeah.
was something that was done more in closed door, but now we're more vocal about it. What have you seen change since, if I remember correctly, you said 2002 until today on 2024? What have you seen change on the fact that people are talking more about psychology, sports psychology, or just play? You're trying to applicate those facts to try to don't be too much in their heads. What have you seen change over the years?
I think sports psychology, um, I think certain things hasn't changed, is probably more evolved or more uh, prevalent. You know, back when I was coaching and playing, no, sports psychology was not even uh, a thought kind of thing. You know, it wasn't really part of our coaching setup or anything like that. But over the years, it's become more of an impactful, important piece of coaching, um, preparing athletes kind of thing, you know, the mental prep, where, you know, imagery and focus and goal settings uh, has sort of an important piece now. And, you know, now you've got sports psychologists that work with teams full time or at least, you know, uh, part time, making an impact kind of thing, you know, that at the highest level, at the professional level for sure. Uh, and, you know, some pieces of that, like in my career over, I would say maybe the last 15 years or so, I've started using that more and more as you understand the athlete and understand the environment and understand what's important. Athletes have changed as well from when I started coaching, when I started playing, in terms of how athletes were then back then compared to the athletes now, kind of thing. It's totally different. And so coaching has evolved to meet that demand kind of thing. So in sports psychology, that's now an important piece. So, you know, when you look at the four corners of coaching, you know, your um, physical, tactical, technical, and you know the emotional, psychological part of it, right? You know that's now an important piece when you're preparing your team, kind of thing. You know, knowing how to get the best out of the athletes, kind of thing. You know, in terms of understanding the athletes' emotions, what gets them going, you know, what triggers them kind of thing. So those are the important pieces. And I think, you know, um, the more coaches like myself, you know, I've really worked hard in trying to learn more about sports psychology. I've got a psychology diploma as well, that I did. But things have, you know, have evolved and as coaches, we have to stick, you know, evolve with that as well at the same time. So, you know, I think it's more now, uh, coaches are more, taking more seriously on the sports side kind of thing. Obviously, you know, we're not professionals in that, but whatever knowledge we can, we try and implement kind of thing. But back in the day when I was playing and when I started coaching, you know, who cares about sports psych? Who cares about what people think kind of thing? It's not anymore like that now.
And I do am curious to know that if we see like the last 10 years, something that has changed pretty much everyone is the social media part of sports and everything we do have in life in general. I do am curious of with athletes or either athletes between them or even just finding new athletes. What's have you seen in social media that was helpful, maybe not helpful? And I do have a side note that I'll say now just to don't forget. Um, what's the biggest difference between athletes that you've coached since you've started and from now? Because since we have so many things that could interfere with what we do actually on the field or in the classroom or in life in general, now we do have more and more stuff to interfere with the our goals or achievements. So what have you seen on that front page of athletes changing from when you started around like 2000, 1990, or now in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, I started coaching in, oh Jesus, when 2000 and no, I started coaching in 1991 back then. Um, just like myself as an athlete back then, we didn't have any social media. It was those Kodak cameras that you wind and take photos. That was our social media kind of thing. My mom and dad taking a photo, going developing and putting in an album. That was our social media that people around the world didn't know. It wasn't about advertising everybody around the world. It's about friends and family having memories and having being proud and excited about, those uh, photos that we go and take a week to get kind of thing, right? Now like you said, in the last 10 years or so, social media has played a huge part in sport and an athlete and coach's life kind of thing, right? And I think that's another piece that as a coach myself, I have to be aware of how important and how impactful social media can um, help positively and negatively in terms of an athlete's life kind of thing, and even a coach's life as well kind of thing. Nothing is sacred nowadays. Social media and everything is posted, and as you know as well, social media can be played around with AI as well. So it's very, you got to be very careful. But social media has a positive impact as well in terms of showing the positive side of an athlete's performance or an athlete's behavior that could be a role model, could be used as a role model to the athletes that I coach. A lot of a lot of highlight clips that you can see that on YouTube and all that shows a high level athlete, how they've gone through their struggles and all that stuff. Now it's public domain that you can use that to motivate and drive your athlete as well, and that sometimes is very powerful messages and all that stuff. And a lot of young athletes, kids, youth, go on YouTube and look at their favorite athlete and the highlights and all that, and they role model that in terms of trying to practice that, whether in their backyard or at training, and try and put in their game and all that stuff. So, that's a really positive impact in terms of what that brings, kind of thing, where their education of the sport is not just what they get from the coach, kind of thing. They now can do their own research and apply and implement that kind of thing. So that's a positive side of it. But there's also a negative side of it in terms of, role modeling the wrong things, kind of thing, or I wouldn't say the wrong things, but maybe not the way it should be or whatever kind of thing. It's not my place to say whether it's a right or wrong thing kind of thing, but it's got to be careful what they're trying to look at and all that stuff. And then, athletes now post a lot of photos and the videos, highlights, and all that stuff on social media, and that's really an impactful piece because it allows, if they are trying to get recruited or trying to move on further in their careers, this is a great platform for them to be able to market and showcase them. Back in the day, we had to, go and video in the camera, send a big, huge VHS tape and all that stuff, right? Now you just send a link, here's your YouTube link, and off you go. You have a look, and coaches will look at it, or you can promote yourself, right? So, how much social media has changed, how much technology has really made a huge change in terms of coaching and athletes' behaviors and athletes' performance and marketing value and all that stuff. It's really an important piece in coaching this kind of thing. And I think, you know, there's a place, like everything else, there's a place for it, the right and wrong way kind of thing. But if it's used in an effective way, it can be a very powerful tool, positive, powerful tool that coaches, athletes, administrators all can use to help market the program and all that. Like at Portage College, since I arrived, we've got a new marketing specialist who looks after all of our athletes, and we've got so much video and content and interviews and online that has really excelled our footprint in the media kind of thing, social media kind of thing. So, that really helps promote the program, helps promote the athletes, and show a positive vibe of our program as well. But also then you got the negative side as well, and the anybody now can take videos and post it on social media. So, as an athlete, they've got to be careful where they're at, where they are, how they behave, because anybody can video it and post it on social media and it could be blown up negatively kind of thing. So, it's the world of being an athlete or a coach is not private anymore kind of thing. Everybody kind of has a piece of it. It's no different than a celebrity. You've seen all the celebrities getting their photos taken, paparazzis and all that stuff
Hmm.
is getting there with athletes as well. It's not to the point of celebrities, but the difference is an athlete is a role model kind of thing. A coach is a role model. Not saying that celebrities are not either, but it can be really more impactful, negatively or positively.
And it could also be rearranged with AI and editing software. People can replay or reuse in their certain ways what they've took in videos. So they do need to be careful when they go out and
Yes.
represent a bigger thing than themselves.
Yeah.
Um, I do want to know, um, since you've started as either an athlete, a coach, and now since you're coaching, in the way of training athletes and them responding to what you teach them, what have you seen change? And also, what type of difference do you see between like a high school players, university, and now with Portage College?
I think, with athletes has changed a lot as well, in terms of how they look after themselves, how they uh, take the sport seriously or not. That there is a lot of athletes that do it because they love the sport and they do it. And then there's athletes who have driven motivation that they want to go further. Um, and so, and then the different, there's a slight difference between athletes in the past to athletes now. The only the one that hasn't changed is the amount of effort and energy you put in. Um, back then, you have to do the same work and all that stuff, same effort, same motivation. And there's no difference now. The only difference I think now is uh, athletes are more aware about their what it takes kind of thing. Now you got eating healthy and training differently and doing extra and managing. Managing the um, other pieces like sleep and food and um, studies, if you're going to being a student, going to university and all that stuff. So, that they're more aware now than they were in the past, kind of thing, in terms of what it needs to be to perform. So, with the youth and with the high school and college and university athletes and professional athletes, they're a lot more educated now because you have a lot more information available, through the internet. Anyone can do research about it, and anyone can look at videos and all that stuff. And like in football, a male athlete will look at Cristiano Ronaldo and see how his body and how what he does for training and all that stuff, and they all want to be him, but they don't understand what it takes to be him. There's a lot more than just you know uh doing the little tricks and all that stuff. They really invest in a lot in terms of getting them to the best shape of their life and compete at the highest level. So, a lot of athletes now are more knowledgeable, able to research that, but it's still no different than an athlete 30 years ago. It comes down to motivation, drive, hunger, whether you have it or not, kind of thing, right? You can do all the research, you can do all the study, kind of thing, and then nothing changes. The same status quo, consistent is motivation, drive, and effort to move to the next level, kind of thing. And I think that's the one that's the most consistent one. Where everything else, you can have all those. You can have a good diet. You can eat all the good diet you want. You can do all the training, but if you don't have the drive and motivation, um, you're not going to go to the next level, kind of thing. Because no matter what athletes think that, oh, they want to play professionally or whatever, uh, you have to have that drive and motivation. It's not easy. It's not easy to get to the highest level. So, a lot of high school athletes, they've got big ambitions, they've got drive, that want to play at the highest level. Or some just want to play at the university and they're good with that kind of thing. But at the same time, to get to the next level, you need to put a lot more effort into it, kind of thing, and that doesn't change.
And I'm curious to know, you said having to drive and want it more. In all the years you've been coaching, have you seen someone that didn't have like the biggest of talent, but have the drive, the motivation, and over a lapse of time, their talent changed and big opportunity rose up to them, and they could take those opportunities compared to like someone who's has the talent, maybe not the same motivation as that one player who needs to work on stuff to get better, but does have this that dog in them of like, I want to get to that point.
Yeah, no, I worked with a lot of athletes over my time, and there were a few handful of players that were they weren't the most talented athletes, kind of thing, but I've been lucky to work with a few female athletes that um, had had the drive, had the motivation back in New Zealand, had the drive and motivation, but they were not the most talented athlete, or they were not the best athletes. Uh, there were better athletes in the team that I coached, but they had the hunger, they had the drive, they had the motivation, they had the goals. They wanted to go to the next level, and they've done it. I've been happy, I've been lucky to work with some of them that gone on and play for New Zealand's national team, that've gone on and played professionally overseas, kind of thing. That, you know, when they were young and growing up, you look at them and say, talent wise, they're not going to get it. But but they have the X factor, which is what I call the X factor, the drive, motivation, and all that stuff, to actually go to the next level, kind of thing. And the effort they put in, they and they got that. They got that. Would I say they're the best athletes in terms of technically and tactically? Probably not. But they had that. And then I worked with a lot of young athletes that I look at it, I'm all with their quality and talent, and fantastic talent, but just they just didn't have the drive or motivation to put in to get to the next level, even though they wanted to go to the next level, but they were not willing to do the hard work kind of thing, and they relied just on talent. And unfortunately, just on talent itself is not enough. It's hard work that gets you to the next level. And I think, sometimes I look at some of the players I work with, I was like, I wish I took their talent and took the players that went on to the next level and put them together. I think they could be world beaters, kind of thing. But it doesn't work quite that way. But there's a lot of athletes. There's a lot of athletes that have so much talent, but they just don't have the drive, hunger, and work ethic kind of thing to go to the next level.
I'm curious to know, do you have any anecdotes of a talented player that you've looked over that period of time you were with that athlete and you saw like that person has talent, but as we said, that X factor is not there. Have you had to intervene and talk with that player and say you got pretty much everything you need to get there, but you still miss X factor and have it impact that person to get better, get that X factor or pieces of that X factor and help them to go at that next level?
Yeah, I mean, there have been athletes that I've, like I said, there have been talented athletes that I tried and guide them and encourage them um, and help them to get to the next level. But I think at the end of the day, it has to come down to that individual, whether they want it or not, whether they're willing to put the effort or not. Right. And a lot of them, remember, they're high school kids going in, 18, 19 year olds, you know, that's when whether you're going to go to the next level, going to play professionally or whatever, and so you got to understand there's also I want other not distractions, but other things in life, such as girlfriend, boyfriend, social engagements, and all that stuff that a lot of the young kids want that, and and they if they want to move, if they want to take sport seriously, then they have to not sacrifice that, but limit that less to put more effort into that. And not everybody wants to do that. It's not everybody's direction kind of thing. A lot of people, a lot of kids and a lot of youth want to enjoy their life, and they should enjoy their life kind of thing. But they have to understand as well that, there needs to be a lot more energy and effort put into sport if they want to take sports seriously and go to the next level. And I think, you know, I look at myself when I started coaching, you know, I started coaching at 19 years old. I was playing, I was coaching, I was still at school kind of thing. And I still had a bit of a social life kind of thing, but it was nothing that if I wasn't taking coaching seriously because I wanted to make that as a career, I don't think if I put a lot of effort into my social life, I don't think I'll be a coach career right now, kind of thing. And so, I missed on a lot of things like, friends' birthdays, parties and all that stuff because I had a coach or I had to prepare myself and I got a team to coach and all that stuff that I miss on all of that kind of thing, right? And so as an athlete as well, an athlete has to understand, you're going to miss those things, you're going to miss your parents' birthdays, you're going to miss, certain events and all that stuff if you want to take sports seriously kind of thing. You can't have both because, that there are going to be times where even your own birthday, like even my own birthday, I've coached and I've been away on my own birthday kind of thing. Right? It is what it
Being
is, right?
ready to sacrifice those big moments to be able to
Exactly.
get
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
that point. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I rather not use the word sacrifice. Rather use the word commitment kind of thing. I think sacrifice is a very negative word, Whereas commitment, either you're committed to do it or not, kind of thing, right? Sacrifice seems like you have to sacrifice one thing for the other. Whereas committed, you're committed for one thing that you want to achieve, kind of thing, and other things you have to put, a second fiddle kind of thing. I don't think it's a sacrifice. I think more of a commitment kind of thing. So I think it was more, for myself, it was more. I'm committed to be a coach professionally now. Like, so yes, certain things I'm gonna miss out on kind of thing, and so be it. Uh, I have a birthday next year, and I have a birthday next year, and the year after kind of thing. It's not like I'm not gonna have another birthday. It's you
Wow.
know, uh, certain things are very, very important that sometimes you have to balance out. Like, for example, if you're like my brother's wedding, he got married in Malaysia. So uh, that's something that I had to go kind of thing, right? Those are not, a yearly event, right?
Yeah.
So, um, and so how you balance that is important. Going to a party, there's going to be another party the following week and following week and so that's not important, right? What's more important? What's more important to and what are you committed to do kind of thing, right? So yeah, you miss a party this week, but it doesn't mean that there's not going to be another party the following week and all that stuff. So I think that's where uh the commitment, where an athlete wants to go or a coach wants to go to the next level, they've got to be able to balance that out kind of thing for sure.
It's true, and I see what you mean by difference between sacrifice and commitment. I think I'll try to be more as a commitment than a sacrifice because I see where you get
Yeah.
to that point. And just before we get in the part of you arriving in Canada and starting your coaching career in Canada, I do am curious to know a little bit more about your time on the national team of New Zealand with the women team. How this happened to get that opportunity to play to a coach on the national team because it's not everyone that could get that position and be able to do this. So can you give us a pictures of how you got that possibility, how this happened, and how was it to be on the national team? That's something to be proud of.
Yeah, for sure. It's actually the New Zealand University women's national team. So it's uh, it's the best players that go to university in New Zealand or overseas that represent New Zealand kind of thing. But I also that was not just the only international team that I coached as well. I coached the Malaysian women's national team as well, kind of thing. So I've coached two national teams. With the New Zealand University national team. I was coaching a university team in New Zealand, and the opportunity arose back in 1998 when they were looking to appoint a head coach for that program, kind of thing. And I knew the president at that time, and so she asked me if I was interested, and so I put my name forward, and yeah, and I got appointed to the position, and I was in the position till 2005, where I stepped away for a couple of years, for a year, and then I went to I got hired, appointed to be the Malaysian women's national team and under 19 national team position there. I was there for a year, and then I came back and did another 2 years with the New Zealand University national team before I came to Canada, kind of thing. And it was just with the university with the NZU, that's what we call NZU, New Zealand University. Um, like I said, I knew the president, so I had the opportunity. It's who you know, it's not what you know, kind of thing. And then with Malaysia, uh, I reached out to Football Association in Malaysia at that time, and also being a Malaysian, that kind of helped, I guess, kind of thing, coaching in New Zealand. So I got appointed for that kind of thing. So it was the right place, right time, and what I had in connections and all that stuff. And that's literally why it gave me a chance going there.
And is it something that you'll like to do again in a near future?
Yeah, I mean, you always have the ambition to coach a national team, but it has to be the right time and right place kind of thing. Right now, I'm at Portage College and loving it kind of thing, and I've got no plans to move anywhere kind of thing. But coaching a national team, if there's an opportunity, if it's the right fit, and if it can work with what I'm doing at Portage College, for sure. It's a you never say no kind of thing, but right now, I'm more focused in what I'm doing at Portage College.
And is the Olympic could be in the radar? Because we do know that the head coach of the woman team has been fired from Soccer Canada. So if the opportunity comes to you to coach or be assistant coach or be part of that team that will go in the Olympics, is it something that you would like to do at some point, or it's just a big dream? How do you feel about this possibility that at one point could happen if it comes to you?
Uh, I probably won't have the opportunity to do it. You know, the coaches that they're looking at kind of thing are coaches that are coaching in that environment. They've coached in the national team currently, or coached professionally currently. I'm currently coaching at a college level or collegiate level in Canada. So it's a different environment coaching at that level where you coach professional athletes day in, day out kind of thing. And I haven't worked with professional athletes in a long time. I've been in the collegiate environment for the last 16 years. So, like we talked about earlier with the involvement of sports psychology and media and all that, the coaching at the highest level as well as involved as well. Where you're working with professional athletes regularly, day in, day out kind of thing. And I think, you know, that's a, I that's a different level kind of thing. And I'm more of a coach who looks at coaching a development environment kind of thing and rebuilding. That's what my skill set is. So, I if I do have an opportunity to coach the national teams, it'll probably be a nation or a country that is developing, not so much of an established country like Canada, where it's very established. So I'm more interested in coaching a nation that needs development, needs uh, support, not working with a nation that's well established kind of thing. That's not my skill set. So yeah, that's uh, that's the reality of it kind of thing. And where I'm lucky I had an opportunity to work with national teams for 10 years kind of thing, so it's not like I'm searching for it kind of thing, but if there is an opportunity and if it's the right fit, I will always look at it for sure. But I'm more of a coach who develops and builds. So I don't look at programs or teams or clubs or national programs that are well established kind of thing because that's really not my skill set.
And to jump in my last part that I do want to know and help you out in a way of getting people to know a little bit more, because most of the people that will watch this podcast are from Quebec. They'll have many that are from Alberta and hopefully pretty much everywhere in Canada. That's would be the goal. We do want to know, how have you entered the coaching soccer environment in Canada, and how did it lead you to Portage College?
So I actually came to Canada in 2007. I was hired by Soccer New Brunswick in 2007 as the regional technical director. So I was there for 5 years. That's what brought me to Canada. I was kind of like, so I was there in fact in 5 years. I was coaching. I was the regional technical director there, and at that time. I also started coaching St. Thomas University women's team as well. I was given a chance to do that as well, and so I was working in that environment. So I already started coaching the collegiate level with that in Fredericton. I did that for 5 years. And then there was an opportunity out here in Alberta with Olds College that came about. So
Old College, I know that place.
so I moved over to Alberta, um, coached at Olds College for 4 years. And then I moved up to Fort Mac and coached Kiana College for about 3 years. And then I moved down to Lethbridge and coached University of Lethbridge for a couple of years. And now in January, I started with Portage College. So, my collegiate coaching career has spanned 16 years now, but it all started in New Brunswick, back in Fredericton, where, I was hired living in Canada, living in New Zealand. And I just came back from Thailand with the World University, with the New Zealand University women's national team. Just got back then, and when I got back, things were already in the works. Um, and when I applied for this job, I applied for the job at Soccer New Brunswick, and by the time I got back, we started getting the visa going and all that stuff, and yeah, I got hired, and I arrived in December 2007, and um, I was prepared to jump back on the plane and fly back because we had a snowstorm when I arrived, kind of thing. I've never seen snow before. I've never seen snow in major cities before, and I was like, oh my God, there's -15. What am I doing? Uh, but 17 years later, I'm still in Canada and enjoying it.
And what big difference have you seen from New Brunswick to Alberta when you move from New Brunswick to Alberta?
Uh, I guess, the weather's different. For sure, the people are different. Everything is different. Yeah, obviously, Alberta is huge. But I really enjoyed New Brunswick. I really enjoyed Fredericton, particularly where the Maritimes, as you know, a lot more slow pace, a lot more friendlier, and I really enjoy that kind of thing. And in Alberta, like I said, I didn't really go to the big cities like Edmonton and Calgary, and I tend to gravitate to smaller environments and smaller cities kind of thing, where it's a little more slow pace kind of thing, and being here in Lac La Biche kind of thing, uh, it's everybody knows everybody. The lifestyle is quiet. It's really friendly, um, and slow paced kind of thing, and I enjoy that kind of thing. And so that kind of environment I really enjoy, because back in New Zealand, I was living in a big city, Wellington. Wellington's about, close to 500,000 people kind of thing. But it had the similar feel of a small environment that's close, slow pace. People in New Zealand are very laid back, relaxed kind of thing. So when I moved to Fredericton, it was like it wasn't much of a change apart from the snow. Um, and then, coming to Alberta, obviously here in Alberta, that obviously you don't pay the government taxes kind of thing. Sorry, you don't
Yeah.
pay provincial tax kind of thing. So it's a little, you got a little more money, and salaries a lot better here kind of thing for sure. But on the opposite side, cost of living is expensive as well, kind of thing. So it's, it is what it is. But I I I've moved a lot in my lifetime, and I enjoy that. I'm happy now. It's a bit of a slow pace kind of thing, and that's not an issue kind of thing. I enjoy it, and so I'm glad I lived in the Maritimes, and I'm glad I'm here as well, seeing different things, and I'm always embrace different environments kind of thing, and whether it's a challenge or not kind of thing. You make the best, do what you can do, and enjoy the where you're at kind of thing. And I think that's the most important thing, and immersing into the community is the most important thing. So that's something I learned at a very young age. When I moved at 15 to New Zealand from Malaysia, I had to quickly, my brother and I had to quickly adapt kind of thing. And we've been lucky about that ability to be able to adapt going anywhere around the world.
And At this point, can we say you're trying to be more stable in Lac La Biche? Hopefully, be there more than 3 or 5 years. Is it something that you would like?
Yeah, I mean, my plan here is, you know, is to be here long term kind of thing to help build this program, make it stable, and you know, make it a success, and make it an important piece in the community and the college kind of thing. So, my plan is to be here long term, uh, as long as it's working kind of thing. It's I think I don't like to put a time frame on it kind of thing, but my goal is to be here as long as I can for a long term kind of thing. And uh yeah.
And can you give us a little bit of a picture of what was the program when you got there in January and we spoke for the first time around like maybe March or May, those first time of you were learning a little bit more about that program. Where is it? What works great? What needs to change? What was the big plan of that program and what was asked for you to do in maybe like the next year to try to revamp that program?
I think, you know, I was brought in to rebuild both men's and women's soccer programs and futsal programs completely. And so the support from the college is fantastic, kind of thing. They really have invested a lot in terms of making sure, that soccer, futsal, all our athletic programs are successful, kind of thing. And, they've put in a lot of support in that. And so, I'm happy to be here and happy to uh, really make that change kind of thing. And it's going to be a process. I'm here to rebuild this program, so it's going to take at least 2 3 years before we see the positive direction where the program is going. The men's program is a little quicker than the women's program, kind of thing, where it is right now, and so that's obviously expected, kind of thing, in terms of timing of arrival. When I arrived on as a in the position, and recruiting timelines and all that stuff. So the men's program is slightly ahead of the women's program, and that's okay. And it's going to be a process. It's not going to be, you have to walk before you can run, kind of thing situation. And so we're slowly putting the building blocks into it, slowly building that. And the big thing is not just the athletic side of it as well. It's the academics that we offer as well, that helps attract athletes to come in as well. And I think that's the biggest thing. And also the community and the facilities we have, kind of thing, really showcasing that, to help attract, athletes to the college and to this community, kind of thing. And I think that's the biggest thing. But it'll take a little time. And the college is very knowledgeable. There's a lot the people there are very knowledgeable. And so they understand that it's not going to be an overnight turnaround, kind of thing. It's going to take, a short term, medium term, and long term for us to build that, kind of thing. So I think, we're moving in the right direction, but time we'll need time for it to actually build. And then once we build it and once we have the stable platform, we just continue doing and keep on pushing it, kind of thing.
And what have you incorpore the right word in that program since you've got here? Is it recruitment side? I know we spoke about like recruiting more woman player because it's something that was an issue in that season of having just enough woman athlete to be able to play games, but depth was something that was needed this year. What was the newest thing that you added that helped the program trying to be at their best and hopefully next year would be another step forward?
When I came in January, I did work on trying to recruit some players for the 2024, but it wasn't for the women's side, wasn't really what was going to be successful kind of thing. So really put a lot of effort in recruiting for 2025 on the women's side. Whereas with the men, I was focused on recruiting for 2024 and building a solid roster that also has depth as well. And now a lot of my recruiting effort and time has been invested in recruiting females for our program for 2025. Uh, Whereas with the men, I'm looking at just about 3 or 4 players to complement what we already have, kind of thing, because we've got a solid base of players that will be here for the next 3 4 years, kind of thing. Whereas with the women, we're rebuilding the entire program, so there's a lot of more uh, effort and energy and focus in terms of recruiting female for 2025, kind of thing. So that's where uh, a lot of my recruiting effort has been going into in the last 6 months or so.
And at that point, where are we trying to recruit via any social media? We spoke about that at the beginning. Is it that part? I know one of my biggest sports personally, it's baseball, and when we talk about college and university, most of the time there's platform that athlete can showcase their skills and recruiters can look at it and say, okay, we like that person, we like that. We'll call them and try to get in contact. For yourself, do we have to get to some place like let's say have to go in England, look at those type of school and talk with them in person, or can we do it more over phone, over social media? How does it works to get there? And as a side question, if we have people from Quebec, from Alberta, from pretty much everywhere that people will listen to that podcast and would like to play for the Portage College, how does it works? Where they could find any place to apply and try to maybe hopefully be a part of the recruit program or the any training camp? How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, recruiting has changed so much. Um, Now you got showcase. Back when I started recruiting, back in when I started with St. Thomas University in 2009, you didn't have showcases. You didn't have on agencies. You didn't have online platforms. You didn't have
Agencies in college?
yeah,
Oh yeah.
agencies that where athletes um, uh, work with agents that it's not so much professional agents like you're working with professional athletes, but they're focused on helping students get scholarships, kind of thing. And so, there's many agencies that out there in the world now, kind of thing, that that athletes connect with them, pay some sort of fee.
I'm so
Uh,
sorry. Just it's just my
yeah,
girlfriend calling me. I just
go,
grab
go,
that
go.
and just make sure everything's okay.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Uh,
it's all good. I hope
Uh,
everything's okay.
yes, she just was almost in a car accident because
Oh,
uh, everything is okay. Just it
okay.
was just quite quick or near from her, so she
Yeah.
got scared and she called me, and so I just had to make sure everything was okay. But everything is okay, just like a big scared, and
Okay.
thank God everything is okay.
Fair enough. I'm glad everything's good.
So just to restart from where we were, I think
Yeah, about the recruiting,
recruiting,
how
yeah.
process. So so you know now you've got so many ways of recruiting where, like I say, agencies have players are connected to agencies, and I work with agencies there. There's a lot of showcase combines that go on around Canada that either I attend or it's live streamed as well, so I can watch it from home. Um, um, obviously doing the traditional, going to clubs and connecting with coaches and watching games and all that stuff. But I think a big thing for me with my coaching or my recruiting sort of process right now is with all the showcases that goes on around Canada. Um, I'm actually linked with all the showcases, so either I attend in person or I watch it online. I get the rosters and all that stuff. Players now got their own video highlights, so you actually can watch videos of them, in the space of 5, 7 minutes instead of watching full games. You can watch their highlights kind of thing. Players got their profiles and all that, and then obviously working with agencies as well closely in terms of they've got loads of athletes, not just from Canada, but I also work with agencies from overseas as well, in terms of recruiting international athletes as well. So, a lot of the recruiting has changed so much that now you can literally do it from home kind of thing. And then I do a lot of video calling with them, just like how you and I are talking on Zoom. I do a lot of that with potential recruits kind of thing. I'm sending them emails to connect, creating a video, setting up, scheduling video calls, and then doing video calls with them and their parents kind of thing. No, the beauty about technology, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to, fly across, Canada to go talk to an athlete kind of thing. Uh, I don't use the phone too often now. I do a lot of online video because I like to talk to people, connect with them, the expression, because when you talk on the phone, you still don't have that facial connection kind of thing. It's the closest thing. Zoom on all these online platforms that you can do video calls and all that is the closest thing you can get to an in-person meeting, basically, kind of thing, right? So I do a lot of that. Every recruit I talk to, I always schedule a video call kind of thing so I can connect with them and their parents join in as well. And you just have that similar in-person feel, but in a technological sense kind of thing. So a lot of the recruiting is done that way. The old-fashioned recruiting still there kind of thing, but also a lot of it is also to do with who you know and your connections and networking and all that stuff also helps with recruiting as well. And then alumni as well. Your alumni is a very important piece in terms of recruiting, and even current players could be a very good recruiting piece as well. Like, I recruit players currently that came in this year that, they might know a friend or they might know their coaches, that I connect with their coaches, and so on and so forth kind of thing. Or, if I'm speaking to a recruit, for example, right now I'm speaking to a couple of recruits from Germany and the UK, and I got them speaking to my captain, speaking to Cody and Ben, kind of thing that goes from the UK. So they are helping that recruitment process as well. So recruiting is not just, it's, you got to think outside the square kind of thing as well in terms of how you can recruit and how current athletes can also play a huge role in recruiting kind of thing. So I do a number of different ways in terms of how I would recruit an athlete kind of thing, because everybody's recruiting pretty much the same athlete kind of thing, and so you got to be able to be front and center and really promote your program at the end of the day. Um, you know, recruiting is no different than being a car salesman, to be honest. Like, you know, you're trying to you're trying to tell them why coming to Portage College or coming to whichever institution is the best place to come. It's just like no different than a car salesman telling you why you should buy XYZ car kind of thing, you know, and all that stuff, right? So yeah, you know, you got to be a good salesman to that way.
And
Uh,
and like let's say some a player from Manitoba or United States don't have the chance to be in any type of showcase. At that point, if I want to be playing in Portage College, what's the other option? Is it a submission via email? Is it trying to find your personal information and have a chat with you? What's their possibilities if they see this and they're like, I'm not allowed or able to be in a showcase or any big events that you would be there, but I still want to be a voyageur and play in Portage College.
uh, you know, my contact details are all on the website kind of thing. You know, if there's a athlete out there, student athlete out there that's really interested kind of thing, they can email me. And if they have a video highlights, you know, I really encourage uh, any athlete that's interested in going to college kind of thing, get a video highlights, get games videoed and put it into a 5 to 7 minute highlight and send it off to the coaches kind of thing. So, you know, email me with a little brief of themselves and video highlights and then, you know, I always reach out to anybody who contacts me kind of thing and then I go from there and then I set up a video call and chat with them and find out the motivation, find out what they want to study. You know, it's got to be academically, it's got to be the right fit as well. You know, if somebody wants to do engineering, then we're not the right school kind of thing. You know, it's no point kind of thing. But if they're looking for academics that we offer kind of thing, that's then, you know, for sure kind of thing. And it's a very easy, or call me or text me or something like that. You know, and I always respond. I never turn anyone away kind of thing. I always respond and set up a video call and you know go from that kind of thing. So you know if anybody in Quebec, even you know, if any player in Quebec is interested, you know, reach out to me. You know, my email address is on my email address and my phone number is on the college website, kind of thing, right? And you can find that and you know drop me a line and you know with some information and the video highlights. If you don't have a video highlights, it's okay, kind of thing. We can figure something out. But you know, do reach out and we can chat from there.
And at that point, that there's an athlete that is being recruited, what are they looking up to the first year in Portage College as for like what's it's offered to them as any equipment or any services or what can they have or what should they have to be part of that program? Do they need to buy any big part of like equipment? Does it's been giving to them from the Portage College, and also how many practices, what a schedule would look like for that athlete.
Okay, so equipment wise, we generally give them training gear and travel gear and all that stuff. But athletes will need their own cleats and shin pads and all that stuff, the basic stuff that they need kind of thing. So, you know, it's not a huge outlay or anything like that. In terms of training wise, we pretty much train every day, almost every day kind of thing, in the evening and in the morning. We a lot of our training schedule, I try and mimic what my experience was coaching professionally in professional environment and club level and all that stuff. So we try and do that here to give them the best experience they can as a student athlete. The closest experience they can get to what a professional environment is. Uh, but yet having you know the student experience kind of thing and student athlete experience is an important piece and so you know we go year round because we play futsal in the winter as well kind of thing, so you know it's pretty awesome that you can train and play year round kind of thing compared to you know other conferences and institutions that might only play soccer in the fall and then in the winter they might just train or anything like that, whereas we do year round kind of thing. So, and we train pretty much 4 to 5 times a week, doing futsal or soccer in the fall and winter futsal, and then 2 sessions early in the morning, strength conditioning kind of thing every day. So every week kind of thing. So so that's what they can expect kind of thing in terms of training volume. And then we obviously got expectations as well to succeed. Like I said, we try and create as close as a possible environment of what a professional environment is, not to the extent, obviously, because they have to balance their schooling, academics is so important. And so that, at the end of the day, they're coming here to gain an education and get an experience being a student athlete. And the education is the one that's going to get them to the next career in their life or next stage or phase of their life kind of thing. So, there's a lot of emphasis on making sure academically they're successful as well kind of thing. So, we make sure that they're successful, and we make sure that when they're here, they experience both athletic and academic, and that they graduate kind of thing. Whether it's with a certificate, diploma, or a degree kind of thing, we offer all of them kind of thing. So, that's a great opportunity for them to come here and get that experience kind of thing.
And I do have two last questions for you, and I'll let you go on your day because you do still be busy since even if the soccer season is done, but we're in the futsal now.
Yeah.
I lost one of my question. I'll get
That's
it back. I'll follow with the next question after it, since at that point, what can we look forward for the futsal program since we're December 6th?
Yeah.
So now what's going on? I know it's Lakeland little tournament this weekend on 7 and 8, if I remember correctly. It's the Soccer Association tournament.
No, that's youth soccer. That's a youth soccer. That's
Oh,
not.
I mixed two in
That's
the
okay.
same part.
Yeah.
But do we have any big tournament or big events that coming up pretty soon? If I remember correctly, you told me January. Is that possible?
Yeah. So we actually finished up training yesterday actually for the year. Yesterday was our last day for 2024. So that because next week is exams, so players need to prepare for the exams and do the exams kind of thing. So we finished up yesterday. So they'll do the exams next week, next couple of weeks, and then they'll go back for Christmas, New Year's kind of thing, and then we'll start in January. We'll start up again in January training, and then January when is it? January the 17th or 19th. We're hosting Portage College is hosting at the Bowl Center here in Lac La Biche, hosting the futsal regionals, the first qualifiers here at the Bowl Center, and then in February the 21st to the 23rd, Grand Prairie Northwest Polytechnic in Grand Prairie is hosting the second qualifiers. And then the conference championships for futsal will be in Lakeland. I think from the 8th to the 10th of March or whatever that weekend is in March. So that's what we have in plan. We've got a potential exhibition trip to Fort Mac to play piano on the 12th of December. But that's what we'll be preparing for the next 3 months once we come back in January.
And now I got my question back. That's something just out of curiosity and for people that may or not in Lac La Biche or Alberta, when we are from out of that province or even out of the country, when we get to Lac La Biche, what's their solution to have a place to stay, and maybe if they need a little work, or what's its offer to that player that comes out of Alberta, out of Lac La Biche County? What's possible for them?
We've got at the college itself, we've got a lot of student housing. So, so they have the opportunity to get into student housing here. We've got no problem with that kind of thing. We've got plenty of space, and I work with the student housing closely. in terms of placing student athletes in housing kind of thing. So, they would generally live with another roommate in a dorm kind of thing. So, that's something that we look after kind of thing. And what was your second question? You said housing, and then what was the other one?
If they want to have any like job
Oh,
possibilities,
okay,
or
employment.
because yeah, sometimes
Yeah,
they need to just have it like a few hours just to get some
yeah.
pocket money or
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to work here. The college has some jobs that they can apply to. We've got a lot of retail, small retail places like Tim Hortons. We got a 24-hour Tim Hortons here that they can work if the schedule allows. We've got quite a few hotels that a lot of our athletes work in as well. Um, Grocery stores as well, so there's a couple of grocery stores here that athletes could work as well. So, that there is opportunities kind of thing, but it has to sort of work within their academic and athletic scheduling as well, kind of thing. And we do a lot of volunteer work in the community as well, so that needs to be put in place as well, or need to be considered as well. But yeah, we do have athletes that work sort of more. It's not going to pay your tuition or anything. It's more for your personal incidentals and spending and that stuff. Yeah.
so. Thank you for your time, Coach Mackey, for just taking that much time of just knowing yourself a little bit more and knowing also the program. Hopefully, it'll help any person that listens to that podcast and maybe get to know that program, and maybe you would see some people new to go and be in Lac La Biche and Portage College. If you want any more answers and question, you can go on portagecollege.com or voyageurportagecollege.com to get any
Dot
more
.ca.
.ca, sorry.
Dot,
I was also questioning myself, .com or .ca, but you can
dot
also
.ca.
get
Yeah.
all that information over there and get more clear information and get also any personal information of contact for Coach Mackey, head coach of the futsal and soccer program in Portage College. So thank you again. We wish you a really nice evening at that point for you, and we'll talk pretty soon since when we'll talk again, it will be in January and more
Yeah.
for tournament and futsal program.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Zach, and thank you for the time and thank you for allowing me to chat with you. It was really, really fun, and I look forward to speaking to you again in January.
It'll come pretty soon, as we know it gets really fast. It's always a blast of having a chat and know a little bit more about any
Yep.
program and sports that I know. Soccer, it's not my biggest sport that I know, so I try to get more involved and know a little bit more. So thank you for educating me and helping me help other people know more about it.